Can you believe that North Carolina's late game closer might already be a freshman? Yeah, we're going there today because after what Derek Dixon just did to Kentucky and Rupp and then followed up against Georgetown, it's time to ask the real question. Is Hubert Davis's late game pecking order already changing? And is Derek Dixon the guy you actually trust with the ball when it matters most? Let's start in Lexington. Picture this. You're on the road at Rupp Arena, ranked Kentucky on the other side. UNC down 62-61 with under a minute to go. Normally, you'd expect the last shots to belong to the vets, right? Your established guys, your future pros. Instead, the ball finds a freshman who's averaging under 15 minutes a game. Derek Dixon, shot clock winding down, initial action is dead. Kentucky's defense is set. This is not a design for the freshman situation. This is somebody go make a play territory. And Dixon does exactly that. He goes into isolation, creates his own space, rises up for a step back three with 53 seconds left, and buries it. Suddenly Carolina's back in front. Next big possession, same freshman. This time, he uses a screen, attacks downhill, finishes a tough left-handed layup with about 16 seconds to go. That bucket ends up being the game winner. 5 points in the final 53 seconds, 9 points total on 3 of 8 shooting. And here's the key, 24 minutes on the floor, a season high. So ask yourself, if this really were just a bench freshman, would he be the one closing at Rupp? Or is that a coach telling you with his rotation, I trust this guy, everything tightens up? By the way, it's not like Kentucky played badly, 39 minutes and 7 seconds. They collapsed late, 14 misses in their final 16 shots, 13 straight at one point. While the Wildcats were melting down, Dixon was the calmest guy in the arena. That's not normal freshman behavior, that's closer behavior. Now, here's the thing. Great closers don't just show up once in a big moment and disappear. 4 days later, UNC comes back home to play a Georgetown team sitting at 6'3", competitive, no pushover. And what does Dixon do? He doesn't just repeat the act. He scales it up. 14 points, 5 of 7 from the field, 3 of 5 from 3. But it's when those shots drop that really matters. Carolina goes into halftime up just 37-32. That's nothing. That's one bad stretch away from a dogfight. But then UNC comes out and detonates the game with a 12-2 run, eventually stretching the lead 62-47 with over 13 minutes still to go. The run that breaks Georgetown's back, Dixon is right in the middle of it, knocking down a 3 as part of that separation burst. This is where the numbers get scary. Dixon is shooting 45% from 3 on the season, 9 for 20. He's sharing the floor with guys like Evans at 41%, Visa around 42.9%, and Wilson at 50% on limited attempts. That's not one shooter you hide in the corner. That's a perimeter minefield. And Georgetown felt it. Second half, 8 for 36 from the field, 1 for 14 from 3. You don't shoot that badly unless you're under real pressure. And you know every miss might flip the game for good. UNC turned up the intensity. And Dixon was one of those threats you simply couldn't help off of. And again, this is important. He's not out there just as a token bench guy. He's playing starter level responsibility in those decisive stretches. Hubert Davis is treating him like a go-to option, even if his name isn't in the starting lineup graphic. So what's really happening here? Because this is bigger than freshman has a nice week. Let's talk roles. Let's talk pecking order. Coming into the season, you probably had a mental hierarchy for this offense. Guys like Visa and Wilson as centerpieces. Kyan Evans as the primary ball handler, the table setter. Then the bench guys filling in around them. Reality check. That's not how the last 2 games have played out. Visa has been a monster. 17 points. 10 boards versus Kentucky. 18 and 15 versus Georgetown. Wilson, also huge. 15 points, 12 rebounds, 6 assists in Lexington, 20 and 14 against Georgetown. On paper, those look like closer stat lines. Those are the guys you'd expect to get the hero shots, the isolations, the late clock touches. But look at the film. When the clock gets into single digits and the game is hanging in the balance, the ball keeps ending up in Derek Dixon's hands. That's the usage paradox. Your best players by production, Vesar and Wilson, are carrying the load for 38 minutes. But when you absolutely have to score, the trust is quietly shifting to a freshman who's been on campus for less than half a season. So what does that do to everyone else? Let's start with Kyan Evans. He came in as the primary ball handler, and he's been solid. 20 assists to just 7 turnovers early on. That's exactly what you want from your point guard. Purity and structure. But now, Dixon is emerging as the closer guard. So the split becomes Evans. Set the table, organize the offense, protect the ball. Dixon, take the toughest shots when the game is on the line. Are we watching Evans evolve into a pure facilitator while Dixon becomes the guy who actually finishes the story? And then there's spacing. When you got a guard hitting 45% from 3 and willing to attack the rim, defenses are in a bind. You can't sag off him to help on Vesar in the post. You can't fully load up on Wilson either, especially with other shooters around. Every time Dixon is on the court, one more defender has to stay a step closer. That half step of respect creates just enough room for Vesar's face-up game, Wilson's spot-ups, and all the drive and kick actions that UNC loves. You're not just adding a good shooter. You're adding a guy whose threat reshapes the geometry of the floor. So here's the real conversation. If Derek Dixon keeps doing this, if he keeps taking and making the shots that decide games, can Hubert Davis afford to treat him like a freshman guard off the bench? At some point, it stops being a cute storyline and starts being a hard decision. Do you redraw the late game pecking order around a freshman? Do you accept that the best closer on your roster might be the least experienced one? And are you willing to take some usage away from veteran scorers in March so that the ball finds a guy who's already proven he won't blink? Because that's what this really is. It's not just about minutes. It's not just about who starts. It's about who you trust. When there's under a minute left, down 1, on the road, and the first option is dead. In Lexington, Dixon answered that question. Against Georgetown, he reinforced it. If this continues, Hubert Davis is going to have to make a choice that most coaches are scared to make. Do you stick with the hierarchy you planned in October, or do you lean into the closer the season is revealing in December? All right, let's bring it home. UNC looks deeper, more versatile, and more dangerous when Derek Dixon is on the floor, especially in high leverage moments. The vets are still producing. Vesar and Wilson are putting up real numbers. Evans is running the show, but in winning time, the ball keeps drifting to the same place. So I'll throw it to you. If you're Hubert Davis, do you officially make Derek Dixon your late game closer right now? Or is it too early to hand that responsibility to a freshman? Drop your answer in the comments. Yes, he's the closer, or no, ride the vets. And tell me who you want taking the final shot for UNC if it's March. It's tied, and there's 1 possession left. Because if the last 2 games are any indication, that debate might not stay theoretical for long.